Shalom, beloved. Welcome back to Real Talk with Yehuda. Now, this is going to be part 3 of my topic on concubines. Okay. Now, I want to make it very clear so there's no misunderstanding. Understand that a concubine is a wife. A concubine is a wife. A concubine is not supposed to be some jump off. She's not supposed to be some side piece. A concubine is not supposed to be some sex slave. Like I've heard different Israelites talking that wickedness or whatever, desiring to have different women and stuff as some like sex slaves. That's wickedness. No, a concubine is a wife. Now understand, part of the separation and stuff of understanding the difference between a full wife and a concubine wife, like I've already explained before, to be a full wife, according to the scriptures, the woman had to be a virgin, or she could be a widow, who is a widow indeed, okay? She was a virgin, she got married, she was with that one husband died, and now she's allowed to be married by another man. Now, using wisdom, because I know some people gonna want to go way off in left field on some foolishness, so let's just cut that right now. If the second husband dies, and then a third and a fourth and a fifth husband dies, she's still a wife. She's only been in a righteous marriage. She wasn't sleeping around or nothing like that. She still is a righteous woman. She still is a wife. She was with a husband. She was pure before being with that first husband. She was a virgin. He died. Another man married her. She died, or he died. A third husband marries her. He dies. Now we know that ain't really what's going on, but just to stop the foolishness before some even try to twist stuff around. So we know that foolishness don't count. We don't cut that. So understand that a concubine is a wife. She not no jump off. She ain't no side piece. She ain't no sex slave. She's still to be loved, covered, protected, cherished, a wife. Now, what would be part of the separation and difference or whatever is when it would come to like the inheritance and stuff like that. And you see examples of this, precept on precept, line upon line, right? We see precepts with this with our forefather, Abraham. Abraham had Sarah, his wife, who brought forth Yitzhak. The promise, the inheritance, the blessing went through Yitzhak. Even though he also had Hagar as a wife. The inheritance, the blessing, the name did not pass on to Ishmael, even though Ishmael is his son and Hagar was his wife. We see later on in the scripture that both Hagar and Sarah passed away. They died. Both Hagar and Sarah died. And then Abraham took a third wife, Keturah. Our father Abraham then went on to have 6 or 7 more sons by Keturah. who is his third wife. Now, the blessing, the name, the inheritance didn't go to those 6 sons. It went through Yitzhak. We also see that our father had an undesignated number of concubines, meaning plural. He had multiple concubines. Now, we've already talked about what would make a woman a concubine. And he had many sons, an undesignated number of sons by the concubines. Scripture tells us that he gave them gifts and sent them into the east country. We later find out through scripture, if you study, and that's on y'all to do your due diligence and go study that, the east country and the east lands and things like that, where our father Abraham sent his sons, was into areas like Syria and things like that. So we're not talking about like the Far East or whatever. That's not what the scripture is talking about. Now, anyways, back to the whole deal that we see with those precepts, and then we follow along through scripture and we see and we get this wisdom and the precepts. When it comes to a concubine, and it comes down for a man to break down his inheritance amongst his sons, the inheritance and stuff is supposed to go to the sons from the wives. His firstborn is supposed to get a double portion. So however many sons he has to divide the inheritance out. The firstborn son is supposed to get a double portion. And then the other inheritance is divided out among his sons. Now, he still loves, provides, and cares for his sons with the concubines or concubine, whatever the case is, but they don't get the whole inheritance like the other sons from the wives. Now, I know being in this captivity, we don't understand that. But the scripture is the scripture. The precepts is the precepts. Righteousness is still righteousness. Just because you didn't know, just because you didn't grow up in that, don't mean that righteousness ain't right. So understand, a concubine is a wife. She's a type of wife. So that she ain't to be treated like no side piece or some second class citizen or some sex slave or something like that. That's wicked as hell. If you men had that idea in your heart, that's wicked. Most High don't want no people just being mistreated and stuff like that. But that's where she would fall in, so that she still has a righteous covering, a righteous husband, and she would be in the role of a concubine. So understand that concubine ain't no sex slave or nothing like that. And that's what really separates the difference between like a wife and a concubine. The wife being a virgin, the concubine, we've already discussed that. And then when it comes to divide out the inheritance and stuff like that, the inheritance and everything was divided out amongst the sons from the wives. The blessing and heritage and everything was to be passed down from the sons of the wives. And the sons from the concubines and stuff were supposed to receive a gift or different things like that. So anyways, with that being said, this has been part 3 of concubines, wives, jump-offs, side pieces. And with that, shalom. It's been real. This is Real Talk with Yehuda. I'll see y'all next time.